I'll pass it over here. So thanks so much. Thanks so much to Jack for bringing in. John called me earlier this week to say if you need to cancel me, there's an announcement for the Rugby today. Thank you might not want me to speak here. We definitely still want you to speak here. So be really awesome and maybe we'll change the mind to say.
It's a cool entrance. Yeah, the elephant in the room. I have decided to leave Ottawa Winters. One was enough, apparently. It's honestly, it's an honor to kind of be here in general. A lot of this is kind of, it's funny, I was going through the slides yesterday, all the colours are off, all the fonts are different, but it's essentially my mind on a screen, but that's okay. I think we're in a wonderful place at the moment that this is probably the last time I'll speak publicly in Canada about rugby for a while, and that's like genuinely would be incredibly sad, but it's also, I guess, maybe not having it tomorrow makes me very open to very honest answers to questions. A huge thanks for these that are going on. I've been to some community stuff, and the way I look at it is I try and show stuff that I might have done or failed with before, and how can we take it into an organizational context. That's kind of what we did. So a lot of my stuff is storytelling, etc. And a bit of my background. I'm most well known for one good weekend in Paris in 2024. I think I wouldn't have spoken so much publicly in the last 2 years if we finished seventh. So I'm very grateful that the athletes decided to have a really, really good weekend. But I am a quote person. I would say I learned my love of rugby in Ireland, and I learned my craft of rugby in Canada. I've been here for 12 years. Canadian, it's very funny. I applied to be the USA coach with a Canadian passport and a funny accent. So it's honestly, the love of Canadian rugby is really, really strong. And when I moved to Nova Scotia in 2012 for about 3 weeks, and that's the last time my mother said please come back. But that's 13 years ago or whatever it is, 14 years ago at the moment. So my love of rugby and what I did in rugby was I was the executive director, technical director of Rugby Nova Scotia, a place I still call home, and it's probably most of my learning or stuff I'm speaking at is not based on the great weekend that we had as Canadians in Paris, or it's actually based on the community provincial stuff that we did in Nova Scotia and beyond. And I think for me, it's kind of making everything else. So if I go with the first slide, so essentially the way I look at things, and some of you might have seen some of these slides before, because essentially I've been the most overused speaker because I've just said yes all the time. So apologies if you have seen some stuff. So the way I look at this is like, and I want you to take it as an individual. So for me, I'm going to focus on the us. So what that means, the team or community organization, the me and the you is very, very different. And a lot of the kind of speeches that I do is very much on the you. If we go to the next slide, this mightn't play or the sound might play, but I'm going to take you to this is Rio. I was watching in a bar in Nova Scotia as we won our first Olympic medal. And this was all over the news, and people were talking about rugby in a really, really great way. And as I was preparing for the Olympics, I found this video footage of Toronto with a load of rugby players. And it was watching the game the moment that they had it, because it was all the Fletchers at the time. And you recognise some faces, but the most interesting part about this video is that's Taylor Perry. And Taylor Perry, who is the ultimate club person, has played in every branch of rugby in Ontario. that was her being interviewed, and she'll be delighted that the sound doesn't work here because she definitely sounds 18. That was Taylor being interviewed at a club rugby event, talking about what does this mean to Canadian rugby. And she spoke really, really well. It was just like, it's amazing. I'd love to be there. So my next slide is a screenshot of understanding that Taylor's right in the middle there, that she would be trying to win a member set. And those are things I think are really, really special. And I think there's some things to me that I'm not going to give a lot of answers or even my own opinions, but it's trying to ask questions as much as possible. But for me, like one of the first things is finding out why. And I went to, I was at the Burlington Centaurs end of year dinner. I don't know why, but I was there. And Taylor spoke, and she spoke about the importance of club rugby and where it has been for her. She's played in multiple provinces and playing for club. But she spoke about every team in Ontario that she played on, and it was one of these most. You're just sitting there in a very vibrant club that have multiple age groups, and you're just like, okay, like this is the why in my mind. Club rugby doesn't exist for players to play for Canada, but we want to facilitate that if someone has that goal, that we can help, or that there is something that they will develop in their club or in their community that it's not being held back, that it's still something that they celebrate. It's still something that you want to hang your jersey up in either the partner bar or if you're lucky enough to have a clubhouse. And that is still very much a purpose. And today I just want to kind of ask different questions about different purposes. And I'm going to do it through the art of I don't know if people knew, but before the Olympics, we were really bad at rugby. I was the only head coach to lose to Belgium. I was the only head coach to lose to Poland. So I'm delighted that I take those stats with me forever. But I also, at the time, we had to realize what we needed to assess ourselves. So a little bit of what I'm talking about today, and I'll end with a bit of rugby, and it is very much money ball, etc. So my slides here. But I do want to kind of ask different questions about why the purposes. And for me, when I heard Taylor speak a couple of weeks ago, it was one of the greatest moments because you're sitting there, a World Cup silver medalist, an Olympic silver medalist, keynote speaker who played for Peru. Burlington don't like Peru. So the fact that Burlington invited a crew member to be their keynote address, I think showed how important and how important it is. So I'll skip on again. Because in my mind, like having your club mission or vision is really, really important. And sometimes because we're our club and our community, because realistically, if those of you are in the room, I know that you do 85 different things with your club or community organization. Be it coaching multiple teams, be it president, be it washing the jerseys, be it painting the field, be it making sure that we've got volunteers for the hot dogs or the burgers on a Saturday. We all know that's there. And I think sometimes we can forget about what the mission is. And my first kind of rhetorical question or something that I'd love to take away is, when was the last time that was actually looked at? Because if I go to the next slide, this was the most relieving moment of my career. We were favoured to win this tournament by a long shot. Like, you couldn't get an odds to say Canada won't win this. But I remember at the end, we felt like an incredible amount of relief. But realistically, I think I didn't do a great job as leader of this team to discuss what our actual purpose was. Because every single person had a different feeling when we qualified, beating Mexico by 50 points. Like, I was still sitting there until the final whistle went, still thought we were going to lose to Mexico. Just, since I lost to Poland, never be too sure. And then we had to decide this. So we had to decide, like, okay, what is the goal? So what is our vision? And if you're to talk about to the executive committee of your club, do they know the mission and the values? Do they think it's a really, really, do they know the purpose? It's a really, really important thing to check in on and to see if we can fit everything through. So in our mind, before I show you what our purpose ended up being, or our main goal, we failed. The 17 failed. So we can go to the next one. So our job was not to get to the Olympics and the next one, it was to be Olympic champions. So we fell short. But the biggest thing along the way is like, and I was trying to define this during it, is okay, if we lose in the last play of the game, or the bronze medal game, or the gold medal game, like, is it still success? Because if you have one overarching vision goal, what actually is underneath it? If the ball hits the post and if it goes over, you win. If it hits the post, you lose. Is it still success if it hits the post? Like, is that one definition picked? Does that truly mean success? And that was one thing for me that we wanted to try and make sure we celebrated big successes in our book. And if you look at your purpose, and I'd love to learn what your purpose is, like how many of you would be able to say, like, this is my club's purpose straight away? And if it is, I'd love to know what it is. And if it's not, that's like totally okay. I'm not actually trying to stand up here and make myself feel like a lecturer. This is tough, guys. But I think one of the things knowing it is, what is the one thing that you keep bringing you back to a purpose? How can arguments from clubs, from volunteers, and like at the end of the day, it is a volunteer basis. How can you still come back to like what that greater good is? And that's a big part. So we'll move on to the next one. So like what is the role of a rugby club right now? Because I think different people have different ideas of what this is. And my job is to maybe give you, I suppose, as a former national team coach, but as a person that developed through club rugby, very much like want to learn about this. Like I've just talked about a club mission. What's the role of the club? And I'm going to be that awkward guy that does like for that. So sorry. But can I, like, what do you think the role is? If we can say it like nice and loud and I'll repeat it. Yeah.
It's the heart of rugby.
Okay.
And it pumps the blood and the oxygen around the whole ecosystem. Referees, players, the culture, facilities, the rules, everything. It all starts and emanates out from the club in Canada.
Okay. Anyone want to, so the heartbeat of would be the important step, maybe to three, or I can't, you said it magic. Say that again. Anyone disagree? Because I think that's an important thing, or agree? Anyone want to try and reword it for the good repeat? Anyone have a different opinion? Or does your club have a totally different opinion?
I think it's good drawing people in. If you do that, they feel welcome or sort of step introduction into the side of us.
So that next. So draw people in. So like from high school, it's the next step. Anything else? Yeah.
So all are again, it's the heart of the bigger line of rugby, but it's also a community itself. It is a local family. It's for the young and the all come together to share passion. It's growth. It's growth.
Oh, that again, it's the community heartbeats. There's a lot of stuff, and like I think we get the goosebumps and the special feeling around that because we're all in the room. So I think there's a part of that. I asked AI yesterday what the definition, or because AI is now, I'm a little bit annoyed because AI is a better rugby coach than I am, so it's quite upsetting. I don't know if anyone's seen that. So I asked AI, what's the importance of club rugby in Canada? I was really and I wouldn't have brought it up if I didn't think it was cool. The response was club rugby is the foundational backbone of the sport in Canada, serving as the primary driver for player development, community pathways to elite national teams. It's where most Canadians are introduced to the game and learn the actual values of the game. Again, freaking us out that AI is pretty good. Anyone disagree with it? And what do you think is the one part that maybe would be a question point of what I said? I don't mind saying it again. But anyone notice one thing that maybe national pathway. Pathway. And that is the thing that we need to work out. Like it is, and that's probably I think why I was invited today to kind of link up a little bit of actually what is the purpose in terms of national team. I was saying usually, and I use it with the GGs in a major way, that I actually don't care if you want to play for Canada. I don't. But I want us to create an environment that if the person beside you does, that they're being challenged and they're being developed in the best possible way we can do. And that's one of those things that at times clubs have to make really, really tough decisions to say, like, we should be playing at the highest division and we want our best players to be playing in the highest division, but for the greater game of the club, we can't. So then that athlete might have to go and play somewhere else. It's a really, really tough conversation to have. And it's really, really tough to invite or to have that conversation and almost say we can't facilitate human goals. But it's part of it. Those are the conversations that we need to have. And then I go back again and I say, like, what is your club mission? So if we go back to that if your club mission is to be the best club in Canada in producing players that go from Kingston Panthers to play for Canada, well then that's great because players will then know that maybe the social is a little bit less. But is it part of your mission? Is it part of your values? It's the other way that we want to just be this sport for all, which again is a lot of different athletes' mindset around rugby. Sport for all. It's where I enjoy my game. I still play with my friends. If that's your mission, to be the best social club going. And I think one of the things is we just have to be honest about what we can help each other. I love club rugby, but I think its purpose has changed dramatically. And realistically, the game is now professional in both men's and women's. And ours is happening just about it, and hopefully it keeps going in terms of men's. And a lot of our women's athletes who now graduate from a university standpoint go to France or the UK and they're trying to play professional. So it's still trying to find where is the club rugby and where it can fit, but it does start with that mission as much as possible. We can go to. There's 6 things here, and I kind of realistically looking at club rugby and the importance of it. What are the 6 things? Just have a chat with somebody or write them in the chat. What are the 6 things that are roles and responsibilities of the club? And I'm not saying that my 6 things can be your 6 things, but what do you think are the 6 things that are the roles and responsibilities of community rugby or club sport? Just have a chat. Don't worry, I won't do it for too long. Try and have a chat. I've got 6 things. Let's see everything you get right. Write it in the chat if you can. John, give me lots of prizes. Stop doing that. Last minute. Last 30 seconds. Right, tap time. Okay, let's bring it back. First of all, we'll go to the chat in a second to start us off. But first of all, is there any starting arguments straight away with V2 boy Saturday morning? There was arguments or no? Not yet. Okay, well, hopefully it will. Was there anyone that were bang on that you were like, oh, it's totally agree with you. This is our purpose from different clubs? Okay, right, we're into that random work PD session that you have to do on a Thursday morning, so I'm not going to be that guy. So I'll quickly move on. John, give us the a couple that we had from the chat.
Skill intro on development.
Like skill intro development.
Provide a fun environment for players to safe mistakes, learn and ask questions.
Okay, safe environments where players can get make a challenge and also ask questions.
For players to play at different level, they aspire to.
Okay, for a catch-all for anyone that wants to play over there.
And last one is probably named player welfare, player development approach, community and social engagement.
The last one was very good, wasn't it? That's very detailed. That's very good. Kind of captured everything. From you guys. Anything that wasn't said? No, okay. Yeah.
Governance.
Yeah.
Policy feature.
Governance policy procedure.
Pool resources.
Pool resources. That's fine. Like
Yeah. Like one person can only do so much.
okay, so like a group of people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go next slide, and I'll just try to give you what I kind of summarised or look at. So promoting values, community building, player development, grassroots growth, competition and events, and governance and safety. I think you could put a couple of those together for sure. And I just wanted to put that up to kind of say, okay, these are the things. Okay, I want you to just have a think about your club. I don't need to break out, and you guys need to tell me how you've gone, not in sitting down with you guys. If you were to look at this, and we were to, you all sitting in this room, if we were to make a collective top three, what are our top three roles of the club? I like it in order. So let's have it debate. Who wants to go? Who wants to throw it out for a bit? I'm going to still Jim, so we might as well have a debate. Who wants to go first? What do you think the most important thing out of that list is? Yeah.
Community building.
Community building.
Growth.
Growth. Player development, no support. So that's if we're going for number one. Yeah. Value, pay values to the game. Great call. Can never be wrong. No be challenged. Yeah. That's easy way. Anything else? So we said we had a few. Okay, so that's we as a group we need to rank number one. So which one do we want to do? Who convinces the most? Or would anyone say we just said three? So we said player development, we said grassroots growth, and we said owning values.
Yeah, I was trying to see whether we change player development to participant, so include activation coaches.
There's a ref on the call, is there?
Yeah.
Actually,
Coach.
Okay. I mean, I thought I had done that okay. Like community building for me would fall into like getting more reps and stuff like that. And all right, look this way. Okay, yes, we definitely can. And when I set these slides out, it will be changed to make me not look like somebody who hates refereeing. To be fair, I am a registered active referee. Not very good. So, But we need a top three. What's so we've had different debates on it, but I like us to move 2 and 3. Yeah.
You want to make a case for community building?
Sure, yeah. Community building.
Okay, so I'm James Edgar. I'm Vicon News member right now. One of the clubs I used to play for, our motto was Friends Through Rugby, Friends Through Life. And that perpetuated through the entire organization. Everything we did, all the policies we made, were important. Safety, governance, everything fell into that. Our club has very high performance teams, but we were friends before we were high performance players. And I think it's really important that the community building, the community hub of the community is number one that traits to everything else.
Oh, you still know well. Like, to be fair, James, I could vote for you. Like that was a good pitch. You could represent anytime. Anyone want to? Yeah.
So, like, I agree. I think these are all both equally valuable. But if you look at players playing the game and registrations, if you don't have competitions or games or events, none of the other stuff is going to matter because they're not going to play. They don't have the games. They don't have the competition.
100%. So you're now saying, okay, well, it's great building and getting a lot, but if we can't keep them through competitions, we're in the wrong spot. Okay, anyone make an argument for anything else? You want to go with our values? Yeah, let's go. Yeah. You're the only person that was made from the mic now. Hey, go on.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree that it's important for clubs to be able to participate in and host competitions and events. I don't believe that's their primary goal. I think that the league can organize and host competitions and events and tournaments and such like that to make it a challenging or to give the players the competition side of it. But I think that the role of the club is to be an ambassador or to promote the values of why choosing rugby and being a part of the community is a good decision, is the right decision. Because the characteristics and like supporting what you said about community growth being a priority, part of the values of that community growth is the connection, is characteristics and traits that you teach these people and children as they grow into the rest of their life. And I speak to this personally, where being part of the rugby club so young taught me values in life that other sports didn't. And I think don't teach it the same way. But I feel like it's promoting the values of what sportsmanship is and what honesty and authenticity is. Is a very important goal of the club to take on.
I think it's well said. I think it speaks to everything that of why this sort of event will actually take place. And I think we can talk about each area with a lot of passion. We're not wrong, because I just asked you what your mission is. Every group will have a different mission. I'm going to change it a little bit, and I'm going to say, okay, and I'll just get this side of the room. I want you to think about it as a national team coach. You have to think about it as a national team coach. So which one of these things does a national team coach care about? If an athlete that aspires to play for their country, what they care about. This group, I want you to think about parents that have never seen rugby before whatsoever. Is bringing their son or daughter to your club. What is the one thing there? Or we can go 1, 2. What is the one thing there that they actually care about? And online, what I would love to know is, what do you think the first team head coach, men's or women's, what is most important to them? And just try and have a chat here again, 30 seconds. So I know the chat is here.
Yeah.
They're gonna want to know.
And coaching the national team. What is this? Can't say like.
Next year.
Give me a thumbs up for good. Good. Okay. To be frank, obviously, I think you see the purpose of why I'm asking the question. John, can I go to the club coach? What is the most important thing? So that's, if anyone answered online, if not, just lie to me, John. You can feel better.
The player dev online.
Player development.
Skills, game understanding.
Big skills and game understanding. Player development. Okay, so that's the first team coaches. That's their why. That's what they want to do. That's their most important thing for the club. Okay, let's go to the head coach of the national team. What are they looking for?
Well, we cheated and had two answers. First one was if you've got an infinite time window, you actually want more players. You're looking at grassroots growth. But let's be honest, no head coach has that ability or right? It's player development. Right? You need to develop their players. We've got a limited pool. We're going to make the most of what we have. We need better players.
Okay, is that the second answer? Is that both?
Yes.
Okay, we'll discuss that first. Okay, so because a lot of people ask in Canada, what is the club's purpose? Is players trying for their club going to eventually lead to the national team? And that is like a question that and it's a debate, right? It's an absolute debate. At the moment, I'll rephrase the question back to you. Is this the league that all your teams are playing in? Let's start at senior. Is that the highest level of competition and challenge for the players in the market? And that's just it's a rhetorical question, is it? Are you the club in the highest level you can be for an athlete to find the smallest jump between community rugby to semi-professional or national? And it's just a rhetorical question. So the national team coaches are looking for daily training environments, quality coaching, and yes, their skill development. They're not looking for numbers. So at the end of the day, a national team is looking for the cream of the crop, or that they've got a very open training age that at this stage they can be developed in a massive way. That's what they're looking for. Are they getting competition, enough competition to say that it's like the big league? So now we have something that's a bit different between head coach of the club, head coach of the national team. Now let's go to the easiest one. The parents. How long did this take? No time at all. Because what are they looking for? Safety. So they're looking for governance and safety. And that's a big part. So if I move to the Jasper, I get you to just go to the next slide. If I move to the next slide and I look at a traffic look.
Bluetooth.
Oh wait, Bluetooth. Sorry. And when I look at this, one of the biggest things that we try to do in all of our environments that I've been pretty lucky to be a part of, we try and name what the biggest, and again, I put some stuff in there, some of it contradicts each other, some of it could be falling into the same thing. But when I look at this, is promoting values of the game, so is every action of the club in the values of rugby or the values of your rugby club. Player development, do we really care about winning the Marshall Premiership, or are we actually just there to try and make every single athlete that walks in better? Because they're very, very different things. It is the competition serving our membership. It's the competition that we're in, including the highest level of both stuff. Community building. Are we seen in our community as a really positive thing outside of our own rugby community? Are we seen as a positive place where it will be incredibly welcoming for the hockey mum or dad to bring in and try a brand new sport? And in grassroots growth, we have the coaches the ability in a good ratio of 10 to 15 to 1? Do we have that when an athlete walks in, that we have the capacity to grow our grassroots? And then governance and safety. Are we in a really good place for athlete and young child protection and child welfare? Are we in a good place with that in our club? So those are the things that I have a look at. Have a quick look at those and just like give yourself, we move on to the next one, Justin. Just give yourself a traffic light score. It does not matter if you're reticent or don't or leave it out. I don't know. It's really, really simple. But have a look at it, have a think about it. I don't need to do the pause in the conversation because I think I've gotten away with murder so far about the conversation. But for me, as I'm looking back on these things, do we have a good analysis of where we're at? Are we facilitating? Do we have the ability to have a conversation with the head coach of Canada, be it men's or women's or U18 or U20, to be able to give the answers to what they want? Are we able to live up to the targets and goals of our head coach, of our team? Does that suffice? And also, if we look at it from a parents walking in with athletes, where are we in terms of our own player belt? Like, are we in a really, really safe place? Is what we're delivering exactly what they want to deliver? And I'll move on to the next one and skip through. Was there anything there that stood out from that? Was there anything there that you're like, okay, I know my clubs are red. Maybe it's better. Do you know what you're agreeing at? Like every club should be agreeing at something. Like this is our X factor. It's like every athlete. Every athlete needs to be able to tell you what they're good at, not just what they can't do. And I hope your club has it. And I think sometimes we don't celebrate those things. But in Canada, this isn't real right now. God, now that I don't work for anyone, this is easy to do. Like this doesn't exist. Why doesn't it exist? Why doesn't it exist? So this is the long-term athlete development thing. Beth, you're probably sick of seeing this every 4/7. But this is like our generic athlete development thing where like good scholars come up with this. We took it on in terms of rugby. It's all through the world. Everyone uses it. It changes from time to time. But why is this not relevant for us in Canada?
I don't know if it's not relevant. I don't think there's enough resources.
Okay, so not enough resources to facilitate. Yeah.
I feel like we don't start. You guys hear me?
It's on the line.
I feel like in the rugby union, rugby ontario specifically, we don't. Most people do not get access to rugby until high school.
Yeah,
and often they don't see it until grade 10. They might see it in grade 9, but they might not be attracted to it until they watch it. So we're out on start fundamentals, learning to train. High school, you're learning to train. You might be learning to train, or you're training to train. So you skip a lot unless you're exposed to something.
So in this, and at the end there is active for life. In this image, it does have different age brackets. We don't have that. So yes, players go in, and I was lucky enough to play rugby from 6 or 7. So I had a good rugby club that I was able to walk in and do it, and it was down the road from my house. But I came from a rugby playing household. We're going to win those people. If mum or dad played, the majority of those people were going to win. So my big question is, how do we win everybody else? What is the X factor that your club has that can not only get you in the door but keep? And that could be the coffee shop that you've decided to turn mini rugby into, which is golden. It could be that Lanark got Guinness, which I sampled recently. Like that could be a win to get the parents in for sure. But it's one of those things like what does our club allow us to do? Because we can talk about the have-nots all the time. We can list them here. We can turn this into here's what we don't have in Ontario. Here's what we don't have for rugby. But we need to say a little bit more on paths. How do we capture? What are we doing with it? And if I look at this, we actually have to be. This is a really hard thing for us in Ontario. we have to almost be able to facilitate all of those things. All of those things at different age groups. And it's impossible. But instead of, it's like when you are a coach of a team, and there's lots of people here that coach teams. If you are only coaching, if you are the only coach who to coach everything in rugby, something's not going to be good. So my philosophy, funnily enough, I'll do way more attack, and I'm just going to try and have a mindset that we're going to score more than they do. But I want to try and get really, really good at it. Over the last year, we spent tons of time on kicking. Great, but I actually know that that's going to sacrifice other things. Instead of what we all have to do is develop everything. So what is your club? What is your club's attack? With my team in terms of attack, what is the one thing that you're guaranteed if someone has come into your club looking for, that you will be able to say, this is our dream, this is what we do. I'll move on to the next slide. First person to work it out. First person to work this out. Global country, thanks, Steve. Yeah, global country. Just trying to put it in a bit easier. I show these, and I'll go through a few of these slides much quicker. But I'm going to show this next one. So this is the way I see the game, and some of you have seen me do this slide before. So in my mind, I think everything to do with rugby coaching can be done through this spine. There's principles of play, there's coachable components, there's functional roles, and there's key factors. I would love for coaches in the room or coaches online, what is the one thing that out of this coaching spine that you say is your purpose in your club? Which one do you focus on the most? And I'll tell you mine with the national team, and I'll tell you mine with the Ottawa GGs this year. But what is the one thing that you think you look at? Does anyone need an example of what they are? Okay, so Josh, we'll go quick. So I'm going to say that, first of all, these are all the principles of play. This is what World Rugby say are the principles of play. The reason why World Rugby say this is because it's true. You can't have an argument with anyone to say that there is something in the game that's missing. You can try it, and I'll refer to that probably. But you can try and challenge us. Every single part of rugby fits into the principle of play. That's not kind of the whole reason why I'm chatting about it. Okay, so if I look at that principle of play and I take contest possession, I'm now thinking about that in terms of the other things. So coachable components are how do we contest possession? So just use 4 here. We contest the ball in kickoff, scrum, line out, breakdown. 4 different ways. Okay, I'll go to the next part. So the next one is functional role. So before I show you what the functional role is, if I tell you the principle of rugby is contest possession, the example I've given you is breakdown. What is a functional role at a breakdown? So it's not a position. So if I say to you what position on a rugby field is really, really good in a breakdown, you might say back row. Makes sense. Totally makes sense. But what is a functional role at the breakdown? Say again? Not a functional role. So it's a role that I can say to you, you did that or not. Because maintaining possession is kind of like ball carrying. So I'm thinking about so you're dead right about a different emphasis of it, but you're on the right path.
Tackle assist.
Tackle assist, sure. Yep. Tackle assist. Anything else? Clean out, yeah. First arriving, second arriving. Anything else? Yeah, it's functional role. Second. You're so defensive. Getting into defense. Now, get away from me.
Jackal.
So, Jack, perfect. And the reason why I'm kind of making fun of like the post is because that's a functional role of defense. But if you're a post, you're not trying to win the breakdown. So if I throw a couple of examples up here, ball carrier might be in there, tackler, arriving players, and poacher. Okay, so let's just take the poacher. Why do you think I'm going to pick the poacher? Yeah, it's how we get possession. So it's how we contest. So now, what are the key factors of a poacher? What are the key factors? Just give me one.
Give them answer.
Huh?
It's hungry.
Hungry's not really a key factor. And this is how I deliver. This is how I change what it is. If you come over to me, a key factor is something I can ask you. It's a yes or no question, and I can show them the video. I can't show if you're hungry. Do you get me?
Up there.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So key factors meaning things that went really, really well if we succeeded, and things that maybe didn't go well if we didn't succeed. They're very simple things, cues, and actions that I want to have. If I got into this last slide, I'm going to look at this and say, what is club rugby or your rugby's purpose? Like, are you the group that focuses predominantly on key factors? Are you a club that predominantly focuses on functional roles or coachable components or principles of play? Realistically, very rarely does anyone focus on principles of play. It's just the start of the drop down menu. So where is club rugby on this? And this could be like, I mean, we can have debates for ages.
Key factors.
Okay, we can go to the next slide. So key factors. Yeah. So why would key factors come into your head straight away?
We just think about your experience trying to help players get to a place where they understood all of this and then execute it.
Yeah, for sure.
You can talk about all the others, but until you get into the key factors, they probably aren't being effective.
Okay, yeah. Anything else? Why are key factors such an important part of club rugby? Measurable is great, but yeah, absolutely. Anything else? We don't know the game. So, like, a very simple key factor of catch passes, have your hands up. Okay, great. I'm now going to improve the game at a younger age. Okay, the one thing that we look at with this, this might be new to us, but realistically, when I was with Ottawa this year, the one thing I really noticed was they were actually quite skilled. They're a pretty skillful group. There's athletes that came in that are at a good level. My entire thing had to be essentially coachable components. That's what had to be the whole thing because it was rugby IQ. So they were pretty good at catch pass. They could kick the ball. They could make their tackles, but they didn't understand where the context happened. And our job in developing these grassroots people is, can we teach the key factors, but can we also teach as much of the game as possible? And that's why when I go out to club rugby places, the first thing I'm looking at is how if I have a stopwatch, how much are we playing a game and how much are we doing skills? Like in a slow, purposeful thing. Because it's got to be contextual and it's got to be active. Because you learn the game by doing, and people want to play games. So my biggest thing when I go around all clubs, I'm looking at how much of the balance between something really slow and refined and how much is game orientated. And if I think about this in terms of Canadian rugby, the women's sevens, the women's 15s, when I started with Canada, our rugby IQ was quite low, which means all of our training camps were all game based. Well, the rugby IQ has significantly increased because the majority of our athletes in Canada are now playing professionally. They're training 4 times a week, they're playing 20 games a year. So their rugby IQ has really, really gone up. So the way that looks, training might look very different there. In fairness, Kevin Ray is an amazing coach and he does everything to the game anyway. But it's a way of understanding your own context. So how experienced are your group in your club? How much time is really, really slow or hitting a tackle guy because it's safer? Okay, it might be safer in that 15 minutes, but are we allowing the athletes to fail fast is kind of my line at the moment, which is doing it at a game speed or in a game context as much as we can. And I'll move. Is there any questions? I know I've gone pretty rugby. And I'll move kind of to the next part. So we did a thing. I'm going to go a few minutes, right? Yeah. So we did a thing just before the Olympics called a pre-mortem. And it was something that I learned. Has anyone done a pre-mortem in their work or anything like that? Can you define what a pre-mortem is?
It's just the anticipation of where you may fail and then mitigate for the issues that you brainstorm.
Yeah, that was way better than my answer. That's really good. So I'm just gonna say, yeah, that is really really good. I just usually go, well, I forgot what a postmortem is. It's the opposite of that. You find out before you die. So that was way better. Can I keep that? Thank you very much. So our main question was why won't we win a medal? And I'll just show two clips. Some of you've seen this before because it's this was our locker room a year away from the Olympics. Hopefully it worked. So there you could clearly see that we were odds on to win the Olympic medal. So I usually ask this question like what would you see a locker room should look like if you were a team that's trying to win an Olympic medal? And it's not this. So we had to do a very much an in-house changeover, and we'll go to the next video. We never created rules, but we created expectations and behaviors. And this is the locker room almost 1 year to the day, where we didn't create different rules. We just created behaviors, standards, and it certainly came from the athletes. So this was part of our pre-board, and I show you this because we had a lot of work to do. So a few months before the Olympics, move to the next one, Joseph. We decided that these were the things that would stop us from getting a medal. Okay, so we said style of play, players, good enough players, competition, behaviors, and preparation. So if we move to the next slide, this was our analysis of what we felt about 6 weeks away from the Olympics, maybe a bit more, maybe 2 weeks. We thought our style of play was good enough. Maybe it's because the coach's ego was a bit too hot. And we thought we had good enough players, and we always do because we're Canada. We thought our behaviours just from that video dramatically improved. But we thought our competition, we hadn't had enough. And preparation, we hadn't had enough. So the women's sevens team decided to play against Castaway Wanderers men's team and West Shore men's team. And we did it. It was very expensive. We bought 24 hot dogs and 2 slabs of beer. And it was the most club rugby we felt ever in this class. It was really, really good. The first day they were like, they killed us, it was really good. Then it was their banquet. The next day we won very comfortably. But it was an amazing moment to kind of feel that the connection between club rugby and national team. And it was like the understanding that, hey, we don't have enough competition. So we presented to them how Fiji play. And then we asked the men's team to come and do it. And it was very Fijians. They had a great time, but they felt part of the solution. And it was trying to think about those haves and have-nots. Have-nots, we didn't have any money to do a lot of things with the Olympic team. And then why not use Shining Lake High School to play, which we did. Why not use CW and West Shore, which we did. And that was the thing that was just the haves rather than the have-nots. And if I move to the next slide, we ended up doing a full Olympic rehearsal for a pre-mortem. And I'll show you these things because my big takeaway then is from you guys what to get out. So this was our Olympic rehearsal. And just let me know what image you want to know about. So this was the staff getting together, deciding that we were doing a full-blown rehearsal. We flew down to Chula Vista and we had 5 days there. And the coach's job was way different to our outcomes were way different to what the athletes' outcomes were. The athletes didn't know we were doing this. So does anyone want to guess what any of these are or want to have a guess at it? And this was all part of our pre-board. Or you want to learn about something. Just point to the image or shape the image. Yeah.
Fighting stick people.
The fighting stick people. So one of the things that we said in our pre-board was our team was too cohesive. That they had a really bad 2.5 years, and then in 1 year we did everything for them, and we were trying to make it just as safe as possible. But also, that can also work as a negative. What if one thing goes wrong? So myself and one of the assistant coaches, Ian Monaghan, decided to have not a fist fight, but a very aggressive exchange of words at lunch, where one of them stormed off. He had things loaded, actually, which made me a little bit uncomfortable, to be honest. It felt like, we can have a fake fight. And we wanted to see how the athletes would respond. And it was awkward, for sure. But they didn't, we went straight to a warm up and everything kind of stayed status quo, which I really, really love. So that was the fight. Any other ones? Yeah. Gavel. So we told one of our athletes that she had been cited because that is what happens at the Olympic Games. So that she got a red card. We were playing a training game. We got away with this. Like, how they believe this was crazy. We told one of our athletes that she got suspended and that there was going to be a hearing. So we did a full fake hearing. Worst thing we ever did. Athlete was in tears, couldn't get over for a long time. But it showed to me that like she didn't know the process. She didn't know the hearings. So like we needed to explain to this is a very normal thing that could happen at meetings. So we made her, and she got cleared, funnily enough. But we made her miss one, but still had to play. So now she's sprinting, she's grabbing her stuff because we wanted to find the little bits of what was wrong with us, like what are we not prepared? Anything else?
Speaker.
We knew we were playing in France in front of 75,000 people, so we ripped off the audio from a men's Six Nations game and put in a huge speaker. And anytime there was a team huddle, we stuck the speaker in there, and all they could hear is and it was really annoying. The parents came to watch us train once and asked them to turn that down. But it was a really beneficial thing because the noise was something that we were excited about, not something that was going to wrap us. And that's the thing that I'm trying to bring up here is what are the things that do go wrong? Because now is the time to do stuff like that. What are the things that went wrong in the moment? Because what happens is your organization is only as strong, or like it's, and the analogy that I use all the time is if I tell you right now what happens if I get into a car crash on my way home, I know exactly what to do. You have to get my insurance, I'll make sure that the police. So when you're in a car crash, it's totally different. And that is a really big thing for us in our clubs is what are the things that test or challenge you, be it sitting on a board or being a coach, and what are the things that we can actually make better or get into a bit of a pre-board mindset. And that was something that was really, really important for us. And I would say that it was a big moment for us. So if I move to the next slide, I suppose, what would be some things that you would put into your pre-board? If you were doing right now, you just finished a club season, what would be some of the stuff that you genuinely can have a conversation about it now before we get straight back into that competition phase for the club actually playing? And that's the thing that was so beneficial to us. So I'm kind of going to leave it there. I'm going to go. Am I doing time?
You have a few minutes if you want to.
Yeah, I have lots more rugby stuff, but I don't think I need to get too far. I'll go. It's going to be annoying for you. I'm going to skip. So I'll say
stop.
Keep going. Go fast. Yeah. Okay, back. Lovely, back. You bring my whole joke now. Okay, pause there. Lovely. So in my mind, in rugby, so we talked about like the importance of, and I'll just do this as a finish in terms of rugby. So like I say this, and some of you have been with me at PB sessions before. I always say this. The only two things the athletes need to know if you're coaching, or that you need to know as a coach, is how do you score and how do you get the ball. Those are the only two things that they need to know. They're principles. Everything else is a bonus. Those are the first two things that every environment needs to know. How do you score? How do you get the ball? And that they'll be able to say in an interview or that one thing. It's like the other day, I'll give you this. We had an open training session for the GTs of the day, and I said, there's no rucks allowed. No rucks allowed. Okay. So my style was I was trying to play really, really fast and see ultimate offloads. I didn't tell them how we scored. I just told them the rule of the game. There's not allowed to be rucks. Suddenly, when I said, hey, how do we score? Afterwards, it was fast, offload, pops off the ground. All these things we did discuss, didn't say anything. We just told them that there's not allowed to be rucks. And that one rule of the game generated actually, this is how we score. This is what we want to do. It's a really, really good thing. If I look at, and I'm going to go a little bit like higher on, we'll get to the next one. So if I just look at attack, this is my mind to a T. Right, this is, I'm very a strange individual, an image guy. I like the idea of things. This to me is the story of how we attack. And I want you as club to think about what that means. So in my mind, this was a whole tournament for sevens, but I wanted to show kind of realistic things. Everyone's involved. So every player would know that I'm looking for them to be involved. This is the story, and hopefully you can follow it. The first thing is I want everyone to be involved. Okay, so an involvement looks different. A lot of people think that involvement means you touch the ball. That is a big part of it. So I put in, and this is just a time. So I put in that, yeah, touches are really, really important, but also so is winning a breakdown. So I've also put in here a tap contact area, which is winning the breakdown. So now from involvements, you either go right or you go left. So you go right, which shows you how good you are in the breakdown in that coachable component. Or you go left, where we now look at touches. Okay, another important thing for the high performance standpoint is out of those touches, how many times did we drop the ball? Or did you drop the ball? So yeah, that's a very normal thing. It doesn't change from club to country. I then go, okay, if you've touched the ball this many times and you've dropped it this time, let's keep going down our story. The next thing we have is, okay, you either pass it or you carry it. Those are the things we looked at as well. Those are the two things. If you passed it, did you pass it to somebody that scored a try? Did you pass it to someone that made a line break? If you carried it, did you keep the ball? That was the first thing that we said. Retention. Did you bring it in and you yourself that carried it? How many tries did you score? How many line breaks did you make? How many defenders did you beat? And then we go into, okay, if you brought it into contact, was your presentation, so was the ball presentation good or wasn't it? If you offloaded the ball, what was your offload like? And then we go back into the try assist and break assist. For me, this was like my drop down thing. And it was a way of like summarizing our athletes in a different way. And if we move to on the last one here, and this is two players that are very, very different in how they play and how they perform. I would call one of these players an Instagram player. And I would call one of them the old school piano mover. Right? And I'll go back to that. But if you look at these, and even just from a color standpoint, the non-Instagram player is in the green. We were able to celebrate all the smaller things that she does to allow for our Instagram player to go and score the try. Because if I look at, and this is exactly the same thing that I just did, but it's now on an individual player. Because if I look at different things here, it's that player A is totally in the green. The tries, line breaks, and defenders beat are way less than the Instagram player, which is 3 tries, 6 line breaks, and defenders beat. And I don't mean Instagram player in jest, and we'll go to the next one, but you'll understand if you follow women's rugby that Alicia Corrigan is very much a piano mover. Now, she did end up scoring an intercept against New Zealand in the gold medal game in the Olympics, which blew my mind especially. And Charlie Williams, who is that person that changed our semi-final game by taking tap penalty and going to go score again. What this allowed us to do is to appreciate every part of that coaching spine that I showed you. It's to show every single part. In my mind, if I look at where we are as club rugby, one of the big things that I think about is key factors and skills 100%, but also the appreciation of the Alicia Corrigans. The night before selection at the Olympics, Alicia Corrigan was doing 150 passes off her left. Alicia Corrigan is not the greatest passer off her left hand side. I hope there's no BDI people on this now. She's not the best off her left. And I went over to her and I said, how you doing? And you could clearly tell she was stressed because selection is tomorrow. She goes, I need to get my left hand. I need to get it better. I said, Alicia, selection is in 12 hours. Realistically, it is already done. And you are going to the Olympics or not going to the Olympics with the left hand you have. And that's totally fine. Because sometimes we talk about all those have-nots and talk about all those things. But in my mind, like for me, we're looking for the Instagram players and the non-Instagram players. So facilitating in our environments those things as much as possible and understanding what our X factors are. And these are the stories that we had. And I'll end it there. But my big, let me see what slides you need to skip to. Keep going. Really, yeah, keep going. Yeah, that's great information. Keep going. Yeah. Really good. This is just me. It's again how my mind works. Okay. Yeah. Next two. Okay. So if we look at this, because I wanted to talk about the US, if I go to another one, Josh, I'm going to say the last. Like I showed you a bit of rugby. I showed you a little bit of the assessment and a bit of the pre-mortem. But for me, if you take anything away from what we're chatting about, is the us you've got to have a goal or a mission in our club. We've got to have it. After that, then the values is something I'm pretty strong about. I don't think values are something that you hang up in a gym and then never look at them again. I think it's something that you can always go back to, and it's really powerful with it. Behaviors that we have, like consistent behaviors. We had to pick 2 extra players for the games. It's not a shock that those 2 players that were picked extra were both players that came from club cooking, who learned the values of sweeping the sheds or blowing up the balls and stuff like that. It's not, I don't think it's a coincidence. Next thing, what are the targets along the way to make sure that we are doing well along the way? And then how are we assessing and when are we assessing? Shows you there the important parts of community rugby or club rugby. And then it's a red, yellow, and green, and how does your club do it? To always go back to what that goal is. And that for me is a big takeaway. I know we jumped around in a lot of things, but I think my last thing is just to say, like, club rugby is it's absolutely the AI summary. It's a heartbeat of it. I think understanding what the purpose is really, really important. Understanding what your individual is and club is and what you have as a green is really, really important and should be celebrated. Don't worry about making everything a green. It doesn't need to be. But just be okay with celebrating what we are and the mission and vision of where we're going. Because it is massively important. And the game doesn't exist around the world without having club rugby. And we just need to find our purpose and reevaluate it every single time. So thanks again for being in the room. I know I went a little bit over, sorry, but if there is questions, it is probably the last time I'll answer a question and quite a lot. So I'm more than happy to do it. But it's a huge honor to be here. It's a huge honor to after the announcement this week to still be invited. So thanks for being in. Hopefully you can hear I'm still quite a passionate club rugby and a Canadian rugby person. But thanks, Neil, and certainly very contactable if we want to go through any of those things.